Night of Shabbos, we're holding by Shabbos Chazon, and it's out of Tisha B'Av, the birthday of Mashiach, and the Bar Tisha tells us that every single Yid, the Neshama of every Yid sees, they show it. They show him the Beis HaMikdash Mirachik from distance. It's shown the third Beis HaMikdash on the Shabbos. So the Rabbi would always speak about how sadness that is allowed to be experienced on the Shabbos. Not only there's no sadness that's allowed to be experienced on the Shabbos, but since the days of exile, the days when the exile took place, contained the potential for the Gula, for the great revelations of the Gula. So it's understood that the closer the Shabbos is to Tisha B'Av, the more the Gula is felt, the more the Gula is palpable. So comes the Shabbos right before Tisha B'Av. So that is the time when we see the Beis HaMikdash, the third Beis HaMikdash. We have then the potential of revealing the third Beis HaMikdash, the whole destruction of Tisha B'Av. When somebody destroys the house, it could be for two reasons. Either he wants to make a better one, right? Like today, people, taking down houses, they want to build better houses, more beautiful houses. A person is down destroying because he's angry, he's upset. So either he wants to vent his anger, or he can't stand the house, so he takes it down. But the normal people, when they destroy something, they're doing it for a purpose. The purpose is to build even better and nicer. So the purpose, before they actually destroy, what is leading them to destroy is the plan. They first construct a plan of building a more beautiful house, and then they go ahead demolishing the old house. The Beis HaMikdash also was destroyed. You're not allowed to destroy a Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash is only allowed to be destroyed in order to build ever better and nicer one. So even before the Beis HaMikdash was destroyed, even before you have Tisha B'Av, you already have Shabbos Chazon, you already see the third Beis HaMikdash. That's the goal, that's the purpose. So what does it mean? So the Bar Tisha says, interesting mashal, famous mashal, I've heard it many times. He brought a mashal of a father that bought a suit for his son. And kids are, they get a beautiful suit. 5 minutes later, it's dirty and torn and whatever it is. So the father decided to have Rachmanis on the kid. The kid gave him a second chance. He bought him another suit. A while later, the son again fashmird it, became all dirty and torn. So the father bought the third suit. The father didn't punish the child and tell him, I'm not going to give you another suit ever again. He bought him the third suit and he keeps it for him. But he keeps it in a closet, and once in a while he shows him the suit, telling him that when he will be able to know how to be careful with it, he'll get it. And the fact that the son sees the suit, that itself encourages him to behave in a way that he will be deserving of getting the suit. So I always say, if you look at the mashal, some people would have said that what would the father do? And the father would take the old torn suit, keep it in the closet, and every year he will take the son and say, you see what you did? And we'll start beating him up.
It makes more sense, because why buy a suit for your kid that'll likely outgrow by the time he's ready to wear it?
So you
might as well show him the torn one.
Yeah, so right, some people, they're so angry, they're so upset that they're forever going to keep the grudge, or keep the old suit in the closet. And every year they'll beat up their child that has destroyed the suit. No, the father is looking forward, he's focusing on the positive, trying to train his child. So he buys him the suit, he shows him the good, he shows him the prize, but he tries to encourage him. He doesn't want to give it to him yet, he's not ready for it yet. But together with that, he's trying to train him to be ready for it by showing him what he's going to get. But it sounds like a beautiful mashal. So what does it mean to us? So the Bar Tisha says the nimshal, the meaning of it to us is self-evident. The first Beis HaMikdash we got, and we didn't keep it forever. It got destroyed. The Eibusher gave us not too long afterwards the second Beis HaMikdash. Even that got destroyed. So the Eibusher already built the third Beis HaMikdash. The third Beis HaMikdash was built as Boni Meshuchel, is completely built, and it's playing in heaven. And every year the Eibusher shows the neshamas of the Yidden. He shows them the third Beis HaMikdash, and that causes us, that gives us something to look forward to. It encourages us, it inspires us that we should serve the Eibusher, should become K'moi Teva B'nafshi, saying that it should become our very nature to serve the Eibusher, that we should have the third Beis HaMikdash. Sounds nice and fluffy. The question is, As the Rabbi says, between me and you, a person could say, what effect do I actually gain from it? You know, it's a nice mashal. Well, I never saw the third Beis HaMikdash. Maybe tzaddikim do see it. But as the Rabbi explains, the point of showing the Beis HaMikdash is not for the tzaddikim. The tzaddikim don't need to see the Beis HaMikdash. The point of showing the Beis HaMikdash is bedavke for the people that need the most encouragement, that need the most idud, the most encouragement and inspiration to do the right thing. People that without seeing it wouldn't behave properly. They need to see it. So if people don't see the third Beis HaMikdash, so the neshama sees it good, beautiful. So what happened last year, what happened the year before, that we did we see anything that would encourage us? So the Nekuda the Rabbi says is that there's two parts over here. There's the Eibusher shows it to us, but we also need our active participation. A person needs to think about it. It's not enough. It's not just a one-way street. The Eibusher shows it to us and that's it. But in order for it to have the desired effect, the Yid has to think about it. If he doesn't even think about it, then it's something that his neshama sees. He might forget it. It might not affect him at all. But when the Yid thinks about it, so then that thought that he thinks about it, that becomes a connection of both things. He's thinking about it, Eibusher is showing it to him. So when he's putting in his active participation in preparing himself for Mashiach, he has a much greater return on his investment than he would have had otherwise. The same way the third Beis HaMikdash in general comes from heaven, right? Eibusher builds it, but we will still be involved. Yidden will still do something, right? So we have to do something. So that is the Nekuda. The Nekuda says that the Rabbi says that in order for the vision of the third Beis HaMikdash to affect us, a person has to think about the fact that his neshama sees the Beis HaMikdash, and it has to bother him that he doesn't yet have it. When a person, from one hand, he has the inspiration of, he looks at the future redemption, he looks into the future, instead of looking at the present, looking at everything that's going on, he sees the light at the end of the tunnel, he sees that there's something coming. Together with that, he focuses on the fact that we're not there yet. A combination of both propels him to, that itself encourages a person. He sees what the future holds. He also sees that we're not there, we need to do something. That itself propels him to do actions to bring about the rebuilding, to bring the third Beis HaMikdash to be revealed. So that is how the seeing of the third Beis HaMikdash affects a person. The Rabbi says, what does this mean practically? So the Rabbi says that every person has
behind the straw.
Has his own Beis HaMikdash that he builds in his own heart. Also the Mikdash Shechanti B'Seicham. Many times we view ourselves as, I don't know how to exactly put it, we're members of a congregation. You know, there's Lubavitch, there's the affiliate Friends of Chabad, and we affiliate ourselves with it. And the main sanctuary, the main religious, I don't know what you ever want to call it, where everything is in one place. We just, once in a while, we zoom in, we tune in. But Chassidus explains to us, no, that the Beis HaMikdash is, every single person is his own Beis HaMikdash. You don't have to look deep, like the story of whatever his name is, the guy, the story of my encounter, a guy that was a Yid, he got a little bit of it, became a hippie place, and he was bothered where the Eibusher is, and the Rebbe was coming into 770, and he stops it up, he asks him where the Eibusher is. So the Rebbe tells him the Eibusher is everywhere. The Rebbe, he's in a stone, he's in a tree, everywhere. So he said, yeah, I know, he grew up religious, he says, I know, but still, where's the Eibusher? So the Rebbe told him, if he's in your heart, if that's the way you're asking. The person was totally transformed with that answer, but the Nekuda is that the Chiddush is not to find the Eibusher somewhere out there and in the heavens, or the Nekuda is to discover the Eibusher within yourself. That's in fact that you have the person who yearns for something, means that the Eibusher is within him, he has to discover. So every Yid has a third Beis HaMikdash within him. Every Yid has a Mikdash. Alamai, it could be he's seeing it merachik, he sees a vision of his own Beis HaMikdash, it's from the distant, it's one day, right? One day I'll do what I need to do. You know, deep down I want to do it, but I don't bring it to fruition. The idea is we have to reveal the Beis HaMikdash. The Beis HaMikdash is there. We don't have to create the Beis HaMikdash, but we have to reveal it within ourselves. How do you reveal it within yourselves? You have to do concrete ma'asim. Every good deed that you do is a revelation of your Beis HaMikdash. You don't have to go very far. one thought, one speech, one action. You learn Torah, you do mitzvahs, the Aron, the Shulchan, the Menorah, whatever Chassidus explains. But in order for a person to reveal the Beis HaMikdash, there's two things you have to focus, that you have a Beis HaMikdash. And you also have to focus, a person who have a Beis HaMikdash, he might go to sleep, but he has to focus on what? That Roi Meirach, it has to bother him, but it's not fully revealed. And that yearning, that propels him to do actions to activate it. So the Rabbi says, every person has his own Beis HaMikdash. Every person also has his Chelkei Beilim, his place in the world. When a person does activities, the whole idea of a Chabad house, the Rebbe was really into making in every single house, there should be a miniature Chabad house, every single children's room, there should be a Tzivus Hashem room. The idea that a person should realize that his own Daled Amas, his own cubicle that he's in the world, is a place for revealing godliness. It's not just that he has to conform to some religious doctrine, and once in a while when he goes to shul he connects. No, the Rebbe wants.
So what's the Siyam Mishra Torah? The Haftarah?
The Haftarah, then the
So what's the brand Chassidus always harps on? How's it connected to Shalom Chazon?
So Tzin Mishpat Tipada Shabbat B'Tzlaka means that Tzin is revealed through Torah and through Tzlaka. You have the Maimer of Nikutei Torah from this week. There's only one Maimer in Pashas Devarim, and so on Tzin Mishpat Tipada Shabbat B'Tzlaka. The point that Chassidus explains is that in a person's neshama there's two parts. There's the part of the neshama that's called tzion. Tzion is the sign, the higher part of the neshama. That part of the neshama doesn't go directly into galus. It cannot be exiled in the sense it cannot be abused. It cannot be used out. The Yetzer Hara cannot use out that capacity of the neshama. But that part of the neshama might be concealed, might not be revealed. Then there's Shavah, then there's the lower parts of the neshama. There's a person's emotions, a person's thoughts. Those things could be captive. The Yetzer Hara takes a person's love, and instead of the person's love being expressed in what it's supposed to be, which is to love the Eibishter, so the Yetzer Hara takes that power and he uses it out to love physical things, to love physical pleasures. A person to be afraid. A person has the potential of fear. Ideally should be afraid of the Eibishter. Instead, what does the Eibishter, the Yetzer Hara, use it out for? As Al Rebbe writes in my modern, Al Rebbe says, Al Rebbe writes, the main avoida is a person has to burn his daigas haparnasa. So as a person, if you have enough money for to live today, they sort of comes tell you, let's be worried about the future. So every single day, avoida has to be to strengthen when you daven. You have to realize the Eibishter gives you sustenance and to burn your worries, to destroy your worries. You have fear. That fear shouldn't be fear of where you're going to get your money tomorrow. The fear should be how to serve the Eibishter. Your fear is captive. A person feels, most people at least, they feel captured. They feel.
So that's the tzin part, or
that's the shavah. That's the shavah.
So
they feel they're captured. They're under stress. They feel that there's a power that's subjugating them. They can't be free. The Yetzer Hara takes a person's love and fear and he puts it in Gashmis. So how do you redeem that? Torah is good. Torah is alakus. Torah reveals the neshama.
Torah is tzin or tzedakah?
Torah is for tzin, but for shavah you need to do tzedakah. When a person helps another yid, person does tzedakah. Tzedakah has a koyach. Tzedakah is ma'aseh v'koil. Tzedakah has a koyach to redeem the parts of the neshama that were captured in galus. So that is what Chassidus says regarding Tzim Mishpat Padav Shabbat B'Tzedakah. So anyway, that's the Nekudah. So Shabbos Chazon, Parshas Devarim, the whole Chaz. You look at the Haftarah Shabbos Chazon, it looks like words of rebuke, right? The whole thing is words of rebuke. Raditchever says the whole interpretation Chazon, it's a vision. I see the Beis Hamikdash. Simply looks like rebuke. So we have the same thing as in Chumash Devarim, Parshas Devarim is rebuke of Moshe Rabbeinu before he passes away. There's many laws of rebuke, by the way, you learn from here. First, Moshe Rabbeinu only rebuked the Jewish people Achrei HaKosei, after he took care of them for 40 years. It's very easy to rebuke somebody they never did anything for. But that's not called rebuke. That's called that's sometimes called
entertainment.
Entertainment. A person is upset. A person won't accept rebuke unless the person knows you love him. How do you know he does he know you love him? You did something here. You helped him with Gashmis. Then you can start talking to him about his ruchnius. He rebuked them out of love, and he rebuked them in a way, indirectly. He mentioned things that they should understand. Didn't say they. A lot of things he said, b'derech remez, right? he said it in a way they would catch what he's saying, but he didn't pinpoint, as they say, with the grubben finger, using his thumb, pointing.
So maybe.
So Moshe Rabbeinu, in other words, Moshe Rabbeinu was rebuking them, but he was hiding the rebuke.
So maybe Yeshayahu did the same thing.
So it was the Chachas Megul Avam Soteres. The rebuke was revealed, the love was concealed. So it says the same thing was by the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash. It was words of rebuke. The whole thing wasn't a pretty piece of history. But what was concealed in that is love. If you have a father that slaps his son, I'm not saying every father will do that, but somebody that's right. What's the story? The Fidik Rebbe brings him a sefer as a parents that have listened to Milan, that he had a son Yitzchok Shol who was mean to animals. So Rabbi Nissen was a Melamed of Harki as a Chassid of Baal Shem Tov. He never hit anyone. He wanted to train his son. So he felt that at this time it was necessary. He called his son in one day. He caught him throwing stones at the animal, whatever it is. He called him in and he told him to bring his strap that was hanging on the wall, as they used to do in days bygone, and he administered a recipe of treatment to his son, and his son is laying on the bench, and and then he sees his father's in the room, and his father starts crying. The Fidik Rebbe describes that Yitzchok Shol was more disturbed by his father's crying than by the whip he just got. Because he realized that his father wasn't a mean person. For his father was very hard to whip his son, but he felt this was necessary to teach a lesson, and this transformed Yitzchak Shol, Fidik Rebbe, whatever. All part of the Sefer Zirkind, Fidik Rebbe described as Yitzchak Shol. But anyway, the Nekuda was that a true father, we're talking about the Eibusher, it's not he administered a strap, but within that is Ava Mesoteres, is hidden love. The kunst of Gula is that you're able to uncover the veil of concealment, of rebuke, and reveal the love. So through using out these days for doing good, and through having Avos Yisrael in particular, right? Akol Pshem B'chas Avi, one day to reveal his love. The school of Bedukum and Menusa, if you want David to reveal his love to you, is by revealing your love for another Jew. That's the way it usually works. So by having, it's very good if you curse out another Jew, it could be you're justified. Because the Nikud of Avas Chinam, even if you're 100% justified, usually you're not 100% justified, but even if you are, if you're Mavra, right, we say in davening, we all know, we say the Yud Gimel Midas Harachim, 13 attributes of mercy. The Rebbe should promise Moshe Rabbeinu that every time the Jewish people are in a dangerous situation, they'll read the 13 attributes of mercy, and an Einan Chayzres Reikam, they're never going to be returned empty-handed. The question is, what does that mean? You're going to stand there by Slichir and say, Vayaved Hashem Apanav Vayikra Hashem Hashem. That's an automatic promise that the Eibusher will forgive, will take you out of the calamity.
Forgive and forget.
So the Reishis Chachma, the Ramak, explains like this. He says, it says that the Eibusher, Vayaved Hashem Apanav Vayikra, he called Hashem Hashem. He says, if a Jew calls out within himself his own 13 attributes of mercy, but he has mercy in another Jew, he forgives another Jew, with that, it's not just a matter of reading words, it's a matter of expressing these same things within a person himself. When he reads the 13 attributes of mercy in the sense that he calls them out within himself, he reveals his rachman for another Yid. Through that, Mida Keneged Mida brings it up by the Eibusher the same. So if a person wants that the Eibusher should forgive him, I'll call the Eibusher should reveal his love and cover, right? So cover, and I'll call, even though he knows that he might have done this and that, but it says I'll call Pshem T'chasam, but love covers all sins. If a person really loves someone or loves himself, he overlooks negative things. So if a person will overlook the negative things someone else did to him, that is
so any comments on the Rabbi Yoel's?
Any comments on Rabbi Yoel? It's a good quote. I mean, it's a big loss. You lost two pillars of 770, whatever you want to call it, within almost 2 weeks of each other. Rabbi Yoel was definitely, I think, generations of Chassidim are indebted to Rabbi Yoel for teaching the Rebbe's Torah, and I would say just about every shliach and every person that ever learned Chassidus in some way or other was benefited by the way Rabbi Yoel taught to others and the way he was taught. What did he want? He would say the same thing over and over again. He says you need to learn Chassidus. It's not enough to just read a few words,
More
but
expensive than it is. You'll be.
you have to sit and learn and understand. That was his mode. Very
Sit and
simple.
what?
Pasha, to learn and to understand Chassidus, that's all it is. He says if you need to, in order to internalize Chassidus, there's no shortcuts. You have to sit and try to understand it and learn it very
Why
simply.
was he so
He had
respected?
He had
Despite his
you don't have to
his
say he had
his crowd.
he had an incredible memory. He had an incredible. I would say that in amongst the Lubavitchers, he was probably the deepest brain, if not one of the deepest, but maybe the deepest. He had a phenomenal, deep understanding of Chassidus. He was able to take the Rebbe's Sikh and Rebbe's Maimer and to delve into deeply and explain it. And the Rebbe wanted him to write the Sefer Erchem, whatever. They say when the Rebbe got the first volume, the Rebbe said that he himself did not estimate how well Rabbi Yoel knew Chassidus. But he was definitely, he also, let's put it this way, whatever it is, the bottom line is that he dedicated himself to teaching the Rebbe's Torah. I mean, there's no question about it. He taught and taught and taught. And that was his life mission.
So who will teach us Torah now?
Well, did you ever go to Rabbi Yoel, going to Rabbi Yoel Shulman for the past years? The same
No,
way?
but I learned his Torah.
So you can listen to today. It's all recorded. There's hundreds, if not thousands, of recordings. Every person's giving Shir Chassidus. I'm sure there's some way or another.
Is it true that he was not into Avodah, so that's why the Lubavitch not into Avodah these days?
First of all, we don't have to discuss this now. Second of all, we always have to see the Rebbe Marash once told someone when he was going, they also had a Living Torah recently, the Rebbe told someone that the other person's milus you see with big letters. The other person's chesron you see with small letters. The Rebbe Marash told some person has two eyes. With the right eye you see the person's milus. With the left, when you see someone's chesroinus, you should see what should only affect you, what you shouldn't be like. When you see a person's milos, you should see what you should try to emulate.
He wrote big.
He didn't write a big, certain volumes of the Kutei Sichos, but also a lot in my modern he wrote, and it's also the teaching of Chassidus and for non-Lubavitchers. He was one of the big. He definitely had a big part in the Sunday.
Is it true he was on strike in the Chaps?
Again, listen, you have your mind. No, it's irrelevant. It's irrelevant. I have no idea. I wasn't around at that point.